Hello. Happy Winning Wednesday. Coming at you a little bit later in the day. Um, and hello. How's everybody doing? How's the energy been for you? We just went through a new moon on Monday. So, before we get into anything, I want to talk about this, not in a like ceremonial way, but like um I just want you to kind of drop into your body and go ahead and just hand on your heart. If it's safe to do so, go ahead and close your eyes and just take a nice deep breath and just let it out. And take another deep breath. And this time, let it out with a sigh. Just landing in your body. Feel your seat in the chair, your feet on the floor. Good. So today, what I want to talk about is, something that I think is going to land. And I want you to actually be here for it because um, this shouldn't be received, like as half present, and, not watching while you're doing something else. So, real quick, we're going to talk about where we are on the calendar. So we are in a new moon cycle. We do still have new moon energy. So it happened on Monday. Today's Wednesday. It's typically about 72 hours that you still feel that energy. Um, but I want to spend some time talking about what it's asking for. Because every new moon does have a theme, and every new moon is inviting something specific. And this one, it's not a subtle moon, and it's not asking for small things. So new moons are actually the darkest point in the lunar cycle. Like basically, it's like no lights coming through. Sky goes a little bit quiet. The light's gone. Typically, manifestation wise, I say that a full moon is where you release, because it is full and it's ready to be released, and new moons are where you call in because it's empty and it's wanting things to come fill that space. So you know I know all of that kind of sounds like, as far as like the light disappearing and the sky going quiet, like that kind of sounds heavy, right? Like but energetically, it is what creates the kind of the blank canvas, or that rich fertile soil. So this is where all the noise settles. The old cycle is complete. This is a potent space where that opens up, where you can actually plant things, right? Like you can plant seeds so that they grow into something. Like maybe this is decisions, maybe it's intentions, maybe it's things you want to call in, or a new way of moving through life. So the thing that most people miss is, like they treat new moons as like um, every new moon the same. And so maybe they write intentions, maybe they do a ritual, they light a candle, burn papers, journal, and then go back to doing exactly the same things that they've been doing before. And so this new moon, it was beautiful and the energy was high, and maybe you did a ritual on all the past blue moon or new moons, and nothing happened, like nothing actually shifted, because if you're doing intentions without structure, it's essentially just putting like a wish out into the universe, right? Like you're this new moon in particular is not asking for a wish. It's actually asking you to restructure things. So let me tell you what I mean by that, because this new moon is shifting. It's sitting energy that it's basically like foundational stuff. So the practice, the practical, the physical, the day-to-day structure, like our habits, our routines, our rhythms, like the ways we built our days, our relationships, our own bodies, like in our own time. It's asking us to look honestly at this scaffolding, this foundation that we've built, like not with, big vision, or the long-term dreams, but actual architecture of how we are living right now. And it's asking, like, is this holding you? Like, or is this draining you? Is it quietly taking your energy away? And so some bigger planetary movements are also happening in the background right now, that are creating what we would say, like, there's like a pressure, towards truth, just for us to like really evaluate things, right? Like, um, there's a lot of planets that govern like responsibility and discipline and long-term commitment. They're all in, um, conversation with each other right now in a way that's essentially kind of, putting a spotlight on the shadows and the dark areas and the gaps between what we say that we're committed to and what we're actually, actionably committing ourselves to. So this is basically between the values we claim and the way we are spending our time. And it doesn't match up, right? So I'm not saying any of this to create any kind of shame. Like, essentially, we just want to bring awareness to it, right? Like, because it's generally, um, this is one of the most powerful reset points that we have had in a while. Like, the universe is giving us a very clear, direct, very structured invitation to get honest and get intentional. And, we don't come around, that doesn't come around constantly. But when it does, I think it is worth paying attention, right? So today, I do want to go into something with you that it's kind of sitting in the center of what this new moon is illuminating, especially for me and a lot of us. It may be you specifically, since you are here, but it's the pattern of taking care of everything and everyone else. And you're like last on the list. So I think this is personal, and because I'm going to tell you something personal because I think it matters for this conversation. Because I am kind of in this cycle right now, in this season. It is a pattern that does show up for me, where it's between, I'm seeing clients. I have 2 classes. I'm getting everything together and ready to sell this house for this move that we've been planning for I don't know, like 3 years now, to move across country. Um, and then, kids are on summer break and they got to eat, right? And so, not only that, and, I'm throwing as much as I can into savings too. And then comes up, like, open shifts that I'm picking up every now and again to try to cushion that. So it's like, in a lot of ways, like, this happens for me where, like, I'll go through periods of time where it's just like there's, um, being pulled from 10 different directions at the same time. And so the things I know that restore me, obviously breath work, sitting in silence, meditation, slow mornings, where I just like sit with my cup of coffee and before I like go and log in and do things, um, or the workouts that actually happen, because right now they're not really happening, or like meal prep, or walks. I'm taking my afternoon or evening walks, but like I also like getting out a couple of times during the day into like the sun and nature, or the quiet, right? Like, those things tend to be the first things that slide for me. And maybe this sounds, kind of the same for you, but it's not like all of a sudden all of those things fall off. It's just kind of like gradually, like the way it always goes when life gets a little full. And so, one thing pushes the next thing, like then you say you'll do it later. And then, the last thing to go is always the thing that, it, it's usually like the first things that go are the things that are good for me, like that belong to me. And so I noticed that, right? Like I wanted to be clear about it. I noticed it, not with like a lot of drama, but or I should be doing better. But it's information. Again, awareness. So yeah, oh great, here we go again, right? But that is actually the whole lesson. Like, the fact that I cycled through this does not mean that there is something wrong with me. It just means that the pattern is still asking for my attention. And patterns that keep showing up, they're not there to shame us. Like, they are showing up because there is still something inside them that is worth understanding. Like, there's still something to learn there. There's still something that needs to be uncovered or seen. And maybe it's a layer that we didn't go all the way into yet. We just kind of scratched the surface. So today we're going to go all the way in. So there is something called the caretaker pattern. And so most of us recognize this pretty much immediately. Like, you might not call it this name, but you are going to kind of feel this in your body as I describe this, as kind of like a recognition. And so the caretaker pattern is a relational, it's a behavioral pattern that you're constantly prioritizing the needs and feelings and comfort and stability of others above your own. And so this doesn't just happen sometimes. This is actually a lot of the times, and something I see quite often in healthcare. But it consistently, like, as a default pattern, as the first move, as the way that this person would orient in almost every relationship, in every environment, right? Like, it shows up in how you respond when someone around you is struggling, or in how quickly you move to fix it, or to help, or to try to smooth things over, or to hold the space, or peacekeep, or be the steady one. um, it kind of shows up in how you talk about your own needs too, right? Often you'll minimize your own needs, or uh, qualify them, right? You want to explain why your needs matter, or maybe you make them smaller or less urgent than they actually are. And this might show up in how you schedule your time, constantly putting yourself last, or justifying it with, very reasonable sounding reasons why everyone needs are more pressing right now, right? So the part I really want you to sit with is the caretaker pattern is not the same thing as being, generous or caring or service oriented, right? Like, those are real qualities, and yeah, they're beautiful. The caretaker pattern is what happens when those qualities are not a choice, but actually a compulsion, or you cannot not do it, right? Like, when the idea of putting yourself first actually creates maybe a little bit of anxiety or guilt, in this deep kind of nagging sense that you're being selfish, or when the only way you know how to feel okay is to make sure everyone around you is okay first. And it's not generosity. This is actually a survival strategy. And the funny thing is it's actually kind of, in a way, being selfish. And let me explain what that means. Because in a lot of ways, when you are showing up as this caretaker, as this peacekeeper, as the people pleaser, right? Um, you are doing it to get something. And maybe it's so that they like you. Maybe it's so that you do a favor for them, so that they'll do a favor for you later. Like, so in a way, this is actually kind of a mask. Like, you're saying that you want to help people and do things for other people. Um, and when it's not reciprocated, of course, what comes out of that? Resentment, right? Like, why didn't they do that back for me? Why don't they care about me as much? Why, this or that? And to other people, being the peacekeeper or the people pleaser, like, it actually comes off kind of inauthentic, because there's an energetic thing to this. Like, they actually can feel it. They can feel that you are doing this because you want something, or that it's technically going to do something for you in the end. And so then they might be a little bit resistant, or they might not see you as like fully trustworthy, or something like that. So I say all these things with so much compassion, because most people who carry this pattern, like, they didn't choose it. Like, it was actually built into them early on. And when I say early, I mean like early, like before the first 7 years of life. Like, I talk about this a lot. 0 to 7, your brain is operating primary and theta brainwave state, and this is the same brainwave state that, adults, or anybody really, this is what they reach in meditative or hypnosis like states. So in theta, the brain is not filtering through information. It's not analyzing, it's not evaluating or deciding what to take in, what to leave out. And it is recording everything directly, like without interpretation. So whatever was happening in your environment in those early years essentially is conditioning you, in shaping you. Whatever like patterns existed in your family, whatever emotional dynamics were present, like whatever you had to do in order to feel safe, to get love, to be seen, to avoid conflict, all of that gets recorded as truth. And this is not like this is just what my family did way, but it's like, this is how the world works. Like, in order to survive, what is required to survive in a relationship and what other people, this is what I have to do. And so a lot of people who carry this caretaker pattern, what got recorded was something like, it's not safe to have needs. Or I have to think about others or take care of others, and then I'm loved. Or the way I earn my place is by being useful, or everyone else's feelings are more important than mine. Or if I focus on myself, something bad's going to happen, or I'll be seen as selfish. Like, these are not actual conscious thoughts. These are not sitting around, you're not telling yourself like these if then statements, right? Like, consciously. So these are all running in the background, like basically software that's always on, always running the same program, and they shape the way that you do make decisions, like the way you structure your time, way you respond to stress, the way you talk to people and interact with people and treat your own self and your own body without you ever having to consciously think about it. So why this matters with this new moon conversation is, when you have this programming running in the background, your routines, your self-care, your well-being practices, they're always going to be the most vulnerable things inside of your schedule. Because the program says, like, everyone else comes first. So when things get really busy and something has to give, your nervous system will sacrifice your own needs before it sacrifices anyone else's. Every time. Until you actually consciously interrupt that pattern. So I want to talk quickly about the nervous system piece of this, because I think it makes the sense in the way that nothing else quite does. But your nervous system is always running these background assessments. Like, its primary job is safety. It's going to scan for threats. It does not care about happiness. It doesn't care about fulfillment or growth, or if you're successful or whatever. Like, it's scanning for safety. Like, is this familiar? Is this threatening? Like, do I know what to do in this situation here? Has this happened in the past, and can I relate it to this, right? So the caretaker pattern and that hypervigilance to other people's needs, it's constant monitoring of the emotional temperature of every single person in every room that you walk into. It's the inability to rest until everyone else is taken care of. And it's a nervous system strategy. And it was built in response to real environments. Yes, so it's the thing that worked. It's the thing that kept you alive and kept you safe up until now. It kept you connected. It kept, it earned you love in the ways that was available to you at the time. So the problem is, your nervous system does not update automatically. Like, it does not look at your current life in your current relationships and your current circumstances and say, okay, we're safe now. Let's put down the strategy, right? Like, it's going to keep running the old program until you give it a new one, until you create enough new experiences and enough evidence on those experiences that you are safe in those experiences, like that it starts to recognize that being present to my own needs actually is not dangerous, or taking care of myself does not mean I lose love or is selfish, right? Or I can be here for others and be here for myself at the same time. So this is what regulation work actually does. It's not just breathing to calm down in a stressful moment. It's retraining the nervous system at the level of belief and at the level of body-based truth. So changing not what you think, but what you actually feel is safe. And until that work happens, the best routine in the world is it won't stick, because your body will keep moving towards familiar, which is the pattern of self-sacrifice every time it feels stressed or uncertain or overwhelmed, not because we're weak, but because it's what it was trained to do. So what this actually looks like in real life, because, and I want to talk about this because I think it's like we talk about those patterns in like kind of almost like abstract terms, and people, we get it, we're not along, right? Like we don't actually maybe see it in ourselves or see ourselves in it. So if you are someone who cancels your own appointments to accommodate someone else's schedules, but you would never cancel an appointment that was for them, that's a caretaker pattern. Or if you're someone that lies awake at night, running through a mental checklist on whether everyone around you is okay, and you can't settle until you feel like they are. This is common with moms, but you rarely run a checklist on whether you're okay. That is a caretaker pattern. Or if you're someone who eats the weird half of the thing, or takes the smaller portion, or sits in the uncomfortable seat, or takes the red eye flight because it's cheaper and someone else can use the savings, or consistently chooses the less convenient thing for yourself without even thinking about it as a choice, it's a caretaker pattern. Or if you're someone who started a business or a practice in a helping profession, and your marketing feels easy when you're talking about your clients, but then it kind of goes offline when you talk about your need in return, like, money or getting paid appropriately, like clients who honor your time, caretaker pattern. Or if you're someone who knows exactly what your body needs, and you have the information, and you've done the research, and you know what morning routine looks like, and what good foods for your body looks like, and what movement looks like, and somehow when life gets heavy, none of it happens, that is a caretaker pattern. Because the body knows, it's not the priority. So it stops fighting for that position. So I want you to hear all these clearly. Like, none of this is about motivation or discipline or willpower, right? Like, this is caretaker pattern. And it's often extraordinary disciplined when it comes to following through for other people. Like, it's not laziness. It's not lack of desire. It is a belief that is buried deep down in the body, that your well-being is less important, that a belief that deep does not, that it doesn't just move just because you say you want it to, right? Like, and so this, we're coming up on time. Oh my gosh, we're running out of time. But the cost of this, right? Like, because I think we know in theory, like, that taking care of ourselves does matter. Like, we've heard it, we've probably said it, we put on your own oxygen mask first. You can't pour from an empty cup, or, all the sayings, right? Like, but knowing and actually living from that, and knowing, that's two completely different things, right? Like, there's a nervous system pattern running the show. So let me just be honest. about what that pattern actually costs over time when it does not get addressed. It obviously costs your health. And I'm not being dramatic here. Like, research on chronic stress and nervous system dysregulation, it is very clear. Like, when your body's constantly running on a state of chronic stress and hypervigilance and, constantly prioritizing survival over restoration and rest, like, over time, that does cause real physiological consequences. Like, this is where you have immune dysregulation, hormonal imbalance, inflammation, digestive issues, like sleep disruptions. The body does keep the score, and I think it's bullshit, some of those people that are saying that it doesn't, but a body that is never allowed to fully restore will eventually find its own way to force the threat and cause you to slow down and take it, yourself seriously. And then, yeah, it costs you your relationships. This is a painful one because the caretaker often, they generally believe that the way that they love people is by giving. And what tends to happen, again, over time, is if it's not reciprocated, that turns into resentment. Like, it's quiet at first, then it gets louder, because giving from depletion actually, it eventually stops feeling like love and it starts feeling like you're obligated to do things. And then the people around you can feel that shift. And especially if you're not saying it out loud, but the energy shifts, it changes, the connection starts to thin. Often the caretaker, they don't understand why the relationship feels harder when they are giving so much. And then the obvious one here is it does cost you a sense of self. Like, you're spending years prioritizing everyone else's needs and emotions and experiences, and your own inner voice starts to get quieter, and you lose touch with what you actually want and what you actually feel and what you actually need. And it's not because those things, they stop existing. It's because you stop giving them airtime. You stop checking it. And eventually the channel goes a little static. And then one day you're sitting in what could be like a beautiful life, and you feel this strange, like, emptiness. Like, is that all there is, right? Like, you can't quite explain it because everything looks fine from the outside. Like, people would dream of the life that you have, but the emptiness is you. The you that you stop tending to. And then the last thing is, it costs you your capacity to actually do the work that you came here to do. And this one's particularly true for healers because, the coaches and the teachers and the facilitators in this space, you cannot hold the container for someone else's transformation when your own tank is empty. You can go through the motions, you can show up and do the mechanics of the work, but the depth and the presence and the genuine energetic holding that creates the conditions for real change in someone else, that requires you to be resourced. It requires you to have something to give, to be able to have that capacity and hold that space. You cannot give what you do not have. So again, what does this new moon's invitation actually look like in practice? Like, what does restructuring actually mean? And I want to be careful here because I think this is where a lot of advice misses the mark. But people will say, just start a morning routine or put yourself on the calendar or prioritize yourself, right? Like, it's so easy. But, those who are not, those aren't wrong things, right? Like, those are things that we should be doing, right? But the belief under it has not shifted. And if the belief does not shift, like, those strategies will last a whole 2 weeks before life gets busy again, and then they fall apart again because the operating system has not changed. So real restructuring, it starts with a question, like, not an action item, a thing to add to your list, right? Like, the question is, what do I actually believe is true about my own worth and my own needs? Not what I think I should believe and what sounds right to say, but what does my behavior tell me that I actually believe? Because your behavior is your belief made visible. and how you spend your time and treat your body and how you speak about your own needs, whether you consistently follow through with, for yourself, the way that you followed through for others, that is the belief system on display. So not the one you held in your head because, one of your nervous system, like, if, where you've been operating at for years, right? Like, once you see it clearly without judgment, without making yourself wrong for it, and as honest information, then you can start making a different choice. And this is not like willpower play, right? Like, this is conscious interruption of a pattern that you can now see because you brought awareness to it. So, practical piece, how this looks, pick one thing. Like, not a whole new routine or lifestyle overhaul. Like, just pick one thing that generally restores you, that you have consistently been putting last. One thing that belongs to you. And then treat it with the same level of non-negotiability that you give to others with, their obligations, like, to them, like, your obligations to them. But it's not because you can always control what happens, because again, life happens, life lives. Things come up, but there is a difference between, like, this got disrupted by circumstances, and I gave it away because, my need, like, before it even had a chance, right? One is life, the other is the pattern operating. So every time you protect that one thing, even if it's imperfect, right? Like, even if you say yes to something that you didn't want to say yes to, and then say, actually, let me think about that, or actually no, or leaving it open, like, let me think about it, and then not getting back to them, right? Like, even if it's not perfect, even when it would have been easier to just let it go, right? You are sending a new message to your nervous system that you matter. My needs matter here too. I am a person in this equation. My well-being is not optional. And slowly, over time, with consistency and deeper belief work happening alongside it, the system will start to update. And the channel to yourself becomes clearer. And the resentment that was quietly building, it starts to dissolve because you're actually being met by yourself. Like, in the giving, the generosity, the care for the other people around you, it starts to come from a different place, not with an expectation place. Like, that's overflow rather than depletion. And this is general desire rather than, compulsion or trying to be safe. So that's what sustainable life, that's what sustainable looks like. And this is what the new moon is asking you to build. So where I want to land this real quick, you are here right now, which means something in you said yes to showing up for yourself today. And that is not small, especially if you are someone who has spent a lot of years saying yes to everything and everyone else first. So new moon is giving you a clear, clean, intentional starting point, not because this work only accounts if you do this on a new moon, like ritual or something, but it's because the energy matters and timing matters. And there is something genuinely powerful about choosing to align intention with a moment that the cosmos has already made potent from the beginning. So I do just want to invite you to do one thing after this. Get quiet for like 5 minutes. Like, put your feet on the ground if you can, like, feel your body in the chair, take a few breaths, and ask yourself honestly, like, what is one thing that restores me that I've been putting last? And one thing that belongs to me that, might keep getting given away. And then I want you to name it, like, out loud, or write it down. Or better yet, do both, right? Like, put it somewhere you'll see it. Schedule it on your calendar like it's as important as a doctor's appointment, right? Because you are important. So canvas is clean right now. New moon is dark and fertile and waiting. So plant something for yourself this time. You deserve to be in your own garden. So, Guys, I hope that really resonates with you. One more thing before I pop off. We are doing a Healing Day event next Thursday. So Thursday next week. It is on the 25th, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I do have an event page for this and a Zoom registration link for this. So if you are interested, I am going to drop that in the chat. It'll be usually lasts about an hour and a half, but you just need to find a quiet spot. Headphones are preferred, someplace you won't be disturbed, and invite your friends, right? Like, this is something that I do for free. So it's a free event. Everyone is welcome, even kids. So I hope to see you guys there, because this is part of one of those things that you can do for yourself. So appreciate you guys. Hope you have an amazing rest of the week, and hopefully I'll see you next Thursday. All right. Bye now.